Hey everybody, Jeff here, and in today's video we're going to be ranking the best and worst secondary gadgets for offense and defense here in Rainbow Six Siege. I got my creative side going and I made this really nice tier list for you guys, so please drop a like on this video because I tried pretty hard to make this look decent. Okay, so I divided everything into three categories. At the very top in the orange we have great, in the middle in green we have good, and at the very bottom in blue it's meh. And meh is like, you know, the gadgets that you don't really care for very much. If you have a better option you're going to use it, but if you're given that gadget you're like, whatever, I guess I'll use it. And once you watch the whole video, I want you guys to go into the comment section and let me know what your list would be. So the way we're going to do this video is I'm going to start at the very bottom in the meh category. I'm going to work my way up to good, and then all the way at the end we're going to go to great. So we're going to start off with the worst gadgets, work our way up to the best. So starting off at the very bottom and in no particular order in the meh category, it's just all the gadgets that belong in the meh category, I'm going to be picking breaching charges. Now the thing I have with breaching charges is no one really uses them much anymore except for like two scenarios, and those two scenarios are if you're gonna do vertical play above the objective or if you're trying to destroy like castle barricades. Those are like the only two things that anyone uses breaching charges for anymore. Now I actually equip breaching charges a lot when I'm on attack because I really do like playing vertical. I'll go above the objective every time and go to some really strategic spots and lay some pretty good vertical play down with all three of my breaching charges. But other than that, like besides castle barricades, no one uses them for like windows or soft destruction. Like it's just not something you see anymore. So that's why I believe breaching charges belong in the meh category. The next one coming up in the meh category is stun grenades. Now stun grenades they're pretty good, like, you know, they get you some kills here and there, but honestly most of the time I equip stun grenades I forget to even use them, and then sometimes whenever I do use the stun grenades I feel like when I throw it in it's very inconsistent and the person might not even be blinded, so when I go in round in the corner and expect him to be blinded, he gets the kill on me. I honestly think one of the best uses for stun grenades is to either burn Jaeger's ADSs or also burn Womai's discs. Other than that, I don't feel like I get flashed very often, and I don't flash other people very often, so I feel like they're probably not the best gadget, and that's why they belong in the meh category. Now the last one coming up in the meh category are impact grenades. Okay, so hear me out. Impact grenades are becoming increasingly less desirable because of the amount of operators in the meta that have shotguns. I'm not going to name every single person with a shotgun, but also with the addition of Oryx, I feel like, you know, impact grenades don't have the same punch as what they used to. I feel like, you know, a year or two ago almost everyone equipped impact grenades, but I feel like now there's just better options to use on defense. So that does it for the meh category. Let's move on to our first pick in the good category, and the first pick in the good category are claymores. Now claymores are pretty good and they watch your back, which is like a godsend sometimes, but honestly they could be pretty inconsistent as well. I feel like the best thing with the claymore is of course it watches your back. Now lets you know that your flank is covered, and then whether they blow up from the claymore or you hear them shoot it, you know that someone's coming up the stairs or rounding the corner any minute now. But the big red lasers out of claymore are a dead giveaway sometimes, and there's only a couple spots on certain maps where it's almost impossible to get a claymore without an impact grenade. So most of the time I feel like they're getting shot anyways, and it honestly could go rounds, sometimes even games, before I ever get a kill with the claymore. Coming up next in the good category is a kind of newer defender gadget, and this one is bulletproof cameras. Now bulletproof cameras are also pretty good, that's why they're in the good category. They're not meh, but I also don't think they're god tier in the great category. The big limiting factor of bulletproof cameras is you can't move them around, and they're very limited to the placement. So if you accidentally mess up on your placement and don't realize it until later in the round, you kind of can't go get it and move it around, as opposed to almost every other camera in the game. But the big advantage with bulletproof cameras is it's in the name, it's bulletproof. But there are a lot of ways to get rid of it. You have a plethora of attacking gadgets, whether it's Ash, Sophia, IQ from below, or Twitch zapping it from the side, and also you can melee it as well. There are a lot of ways to get rid of bulletproof cameras, but they are really good and add a lot of information to the defender side, also increasing the utility meta that we see ourselves in here in Siege. Coming up next in the good category is one that you guys might disagree with me with, but I'm gonna put it here anyways, and I think it's gonna be barbed wire. Now when the game first came out, barbed wire was brokenly overpowered because it took 3 melee hits instead of 2 to get through it. Now for you guys that are newer and haven't played before that change was made, you may think that taking away 1 melee to hit it isn't that big of a deal, but honestly like really is. Barbed wire is really good at slowing down the attackers and also alerting the defenders when an attacker is nearby, whether they have to walk through it, makes a lot of noise, or they get rid of it by meleeing it or using a gadget. Also I've seen a couple of Coconut Bra videos where he actually takes barbed wire and puts it up on on like a head level on a shelf or a stack of something or whatever, and it actually breaks lines of sight. And it's really easy for someone to sit behind the barbed wire, and then when you have an attacker rounding a corner, they have so much to look at. The last thing they expect is a defender to be behind like a head level barbed wire across like a box or whatever it's on. But yeah, so I was back and forth between barbed wire being in the great or good category, but I ultimately settled for it to be in the good category. Let me know if you guys think I was wrong on this one. Now we're starting off in the great category. These secondary gadgets right here are the ones that you probably should be picking like 99% of the time. And starting off first with the great category, we're gonna go with frag grenades. Now frag grenades they just go without saying, they really are good. I mean, something that you could get a kill with without even having to expose yourself. Really, you could be behind cover, lob a grenade and get a kill, or 2 or 3 if you're good enough. Not only are frag grenades good for killing people, but they're also really good at clearing utility, whether it's deployable shields, Maestro Evil Eyes, bulletproof cameras, barbed wire. There's also a lot of uses for grenades as well. Another really popular use for frag grenades is if you're trying to stop the bandit trick on Chalet, you could just lay down next to the drone hole, yeet a frag grenade in there, and either the bandit has to run or he just dies, and then there you go, you got the garage wall open. But yeah, it goes without saying that frag grenades definitely do belong in the great category, and I'm really sorry, Buck, that you lost your frag grenades. You didn't deserve that. Coming up in the great category, and this is something I bet you guys knew before the video even started, that nitro cells belong in the great category. Now nitro cells really are the king of explosives, and they're actually pretty versatile as well. You can use them to stop Monty and Blitz. You could use them to do C4s from below, whether you're using a Valkyrie camera or a call out, or you're a pulse from below with a C4, which is, I bet you if Pulse didn't have a C4, he would be picked like 0% of the time. Like C4 makes Pulse. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm attacked and I hear the sound of someone taking out a nitro cell and it's flying towards me, and I hear the beeping getting louder and louder and louder, it scares me. My butthole puckers up and I gotta run away. But yeah, obviously nitro cells belong in the great category. Coming up next in the great category, and this is something that everyone in Siege is very new to, and what I think are to be really good secondary gadgets are proximity alarms. Now, if you've been living under a rock, proximity alarms are these secondary gadgets that are given to a couple operators here on defense, where you can throw them up and they stick on walls, ceilings, floors, and then as soon as the attacker gets in their line of sight in their radius, the proximity alarm emits a really loud beeping sound, letting the defenders know exactly where that attacker is. And they're really hard to deal with as well, because you could throw them on the other side of doorways, and the attacker has to step through the doorway if they want to trigger the proximity alarm to be able to destroy it. Now, it's really easy to destroy them because all it takes is one bullet, a melee, whatever really. But the fact that you can kind of hide them and there's really nothing the attackers can do about it sometimes, they are really overpowered, because we all know sound and information is such a huge thing here in Rainbow Six Siege. So when you have 2 of these proximity alarms on these good operators like Rook, Wamai, it definitely helps them out a lot. Now, coming up next here in the great category for secondary gadgets, of course this goes without saying, but deployable shields definitely belong here. Now, if we were to do this list like, I don't know, maybe a year ago, before the deployable shields got the little slits in them where you could see through them, I bet you that deployable shields would be in the meh category. I remember that almost nobody used deployable shields and everyone thought they kind of sucked. But now, ever since they got those little slits that you can see through, they almost double as portable mirror windows that you could put in doorways, and they really are super strong. This is exactly why Goyo got one taken away, because in Pro League the utility meta was so strong that Goyo had 3 of these deployable shields along with the fire in it. You could have another 2 operators of deployable shields. They have all these different things of utility, so you could potentially have like 5 deployable shields on the map at one time, and it just led to be just so much for Ash, Zofia, and like Buck at the time with this grenades or sledge. Like, there was so much utility behind it. Now I wonder if Ubisoft is ever going to take away the buff that they did where they added the slits. If they were to take away the little window slits in the deployable shields, I bet you that they would go back down to never being used again. Now, coming in very last at the great category is going to be smoke grenades. Now, smoke grenades goes without saying that they are really strong, but at a certain time in this game, there was a meta revolved around smoke grenades. It was called the smoke plant. You would have 1 or 2 operators have smoke grenades, and you would just smoke off the entire objective and plant it. Now, the smoke plant meta is still viable today, but back then, when it was really strong, you didn't have Maestro, Warden, bulletproof cameras, operators that are meant to 100% negate smoke grenades. So the smoke plant isn't as strong as what it used to be. Like, it was just brokenly overpowered, and offense won a lot of the time. But we all know that smoke grenades are in the meta, and they definitely do belong in the grade category. Well, that's all I got for you today. What would your guys' list be? Would you have barbed wire in the good tier, or would you knock down proximity alarms to good tier as well? You can let me know by leaving a comment down below. Now, if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jeppy out!